Yo, is that YouTube? Uh, Hat. Oh no, I'm feeling anxiety. Uh, let's. How about let's wait on multi-stream. Listen to these orchestral. So I was thinking maybe one or two accounts skilling. I can't think of anything to say. So you know, skilling is kind of perfect with. Oh, there we go. Castrated Carson, Cactus Jack, Ennis Jack. Practically writes itself. Wow, look at this. Okay, welcome to multi-stream. I don't know what to say.
If a bullet could not languish and conquer. Hither.
First the start, so everything makes sense, and it's like, oh wow, this is coherent. And then Hell chapter plus the pirate arc.
Hither equals over there, to or toward this place. Thither equals over there, opposite place of hither. Thus equals as a result or consequence of this. Seth equals said. Entereth equals enter. ACHH we equals Scottish. In it equals isn't it. Chapter 1, British Nerd Fight Club. Historian bodybuilder James had a beautiful black body, shining as the deepest onyx, the night without the stars and constellations, abyss without an answer. Black elephants with a black sun on a canvas of terrible reflection. Black as the minds of usurpers disillusional and secret spite insane, black as painted black Vanta black, well actually maybe there were hues of grey and crispy. Being 2.2 meters tall and 170 kilos of muscle gave him gigantic legs and in extension shins also because after reasonable tall lengths, it's only the legs that grow but he didn't look like a frog for example. He had the endurance and ease for exaggerated unfair physical work but he was an abstract reserved thinker contemporary and true. Rectangular glasses without frames look teachy with his brown autumn coat in contemporary London wear loud and audacious. Contemporary designer umbrella, black and white striped tailor-made suit. He had a short feminist-looking haircut he colored white and had DEATH tattooed into his left knuckles and then again in WHITE on his medieval armor. He was a very
Just like my RuneScape characters, black and white.
He was a very muscular V-shaped gym human with 2 meters between shoulders and arms like trees. Chiseled manly face in the Chad direction, square buttocks, striated upper legs, like feathers, like an anatomy chart, disproportional 3D delts. Handsome everything thus, something to make the world's strongest men jealous. Having below 10% body fat can make you feel fatigue and brain fog, but James compensated by thinking he looked good. Looking into his mirror that didn't show enough of the body at any angle, he found green eyes that looked blank first then intelligent. A specimen could make you think about an INTJ like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and fell down the stairs backwards like he wasn't wearing a shirt. He missed the smart refrigerator. He had taught history in London now for 3 years. He remembered having a genius lazy brain about his future until he was attracted by leisurely university history teaching with Greek philosophy. Nothing was going to change, was it? What was unusual with this backbone linebacker build or combination wasn't endurance or speed, but the clever mind indeed, speaking and being a thinker first, a surprising poetic giant, a nerdy 140 to 150 IQ. Being strong and smart was awesome. Obviously it felt like being kindly recognized in your best theoretical version today. The tower, thus strongest nerd. If someone insults your triceps, you insult them intellectually. If someone insults your nerdy hobby, you energetically throw them out of the window into the garbage disposal, hairy legs sticking up. Sometimes he was a gentle, fascinated, patient, observing, uninteractive person, seems related to strength. Being fascinated by color combination mods, tear-jerking shimmering red dawns, women and the human condition. Some mistook it for complacency and insensitivity, showing nothing, but he could very actionable and emotional when it was finally time to act. He had a conservative energy and reservation sometimes, but believed in left ideas, now being convinced by monologuing people, although giving everything a chance. Maybe he showed a less conservative side when speaking. He had a brown pet 1.2 meters continental giant rabbit, these really exist, that ate vegetables for him at 100 pounds a month, called Sigmund the Destroyer. He had an expensive apartment in London.
There's also rune crafting after this.
He had an expensive apartment in London. All apartments in London are expensive, where everything was sleek, futuristic, black and white, artsy and claustrophobic. It was just 120 square meters, but he had fit in a lot of furniture. He was materialistic about his apartment, his TV, everything had to give an impression, of course, exhausting and a look into his mind. Artist on vacation, everything had a place. He used his considerable salary to buy living room set after kitchen set, it made him feel personal. It's like the start of the Fight Club movie. He was good at memorizing parts of history. He had the complete History of the World series, memorized gistly in 15 books, but thought it didn't go deep enough. What was the point of the left revolutions of South America? That's more important. Turns out when you're a thinker, you like getting to the bottom of why and how things work, fascinated and unrelenting, unwavering, as you need it, every thinker taking the same path, not noticing each other, proper and thorough. Curious in a way doesn't always make sense and exhausting to exert and listen to, but to get things going sometimes you need to have an extra fire lit under you. If you miss the chance to be thorough intellectually, you might miss the differentiating part. Every personality, maybe out of 16, has their own kind of introverted underfire and a time to fit the intensity. 95% of people are thinkers, we're not chimpanzees. And less differentiating personality types. Thought
I forgot.
95% of people are thinkers, we're not chimpanzees. And less differentiating personality types. Thought James, mixing his protein powder with cocoa powder and creatine in a white tank top. The V-shape gleamed good in contrast to the white. The room was comfortably dimly lit and would tell him to sleep if he had listened deeper. In recovery for perfect recovery, he was in his routine of gymming and reading, both making him smarter, BDNF, vascular and through language. The feeling was light, hovering and lightly touching subjects. Was everyone impressionable who wanted to change the world a feeler then? More feeling than they thought, maybe, so many people are just not impressionable or concerned. James was an ENTP Myers-Briggs personality, great personality writing, concerned with ideas, future and theory, math, science, logic, abstract instead of practical. The
You just know that I'm really smart.
Abstract instead of practical, the intuitive extroverted engaging in the world, giving him artistic blur and ideas, and, worse at certain realistic things, but debating and innovating, thus changing himself and his surroundings into his future. And then E for extroverted. The future, it depended on his intelligence. As an idea person, an ENTP's first run at an idea isn't their best, it's their last, all come out unfiltered. He was a man of constant improvement, performance and maybe even perfection, not always seen like in a lot of other people. It's a different world than people who are just meeting the week's ends, maybe assertive in wealth or privilege, with more than a party, or who live for vacations outside of work or excitement and stupid risk. For those that live perfectly confined in the illusions of society and those who don't. It's painstaking eternal cleanse, existing for the future and not the rewarding present, easily finding impossible goals, fit ambition and never recognition quicker. When you are a thinker, you spend your whole life learning for the sake of learning, comparing and improving, always out of reach. Although when balanced he turned insightful, surprisingly him too, another idea for sharing. The introverted side people didn't see was that of a nerdy book reader, mathy and strategic, like a brilliant scientist, more dry logical. The introverted logical part of the thinkers is completely dry, even without creativity and intuition. Climbing societal ladders quietly, more so than the primary extroverted side, interacting with the world and gave him the resources and strategy to do so. It felt competitive but didn't have as much primary resources as some other people do, the very feeling indeed is auxiliary. In lack of ability against the smartest chessboard masterminds INTJ, for example, they feel they just need more time, or that they are still onto some good stuff. Every personality using their secondary function feel like they are onto some good stuff. Enjoying expanding the limits of his knowledge and intelligence, he had a thirst for knowledge and performance, strength that was hard to understand unless he was doing the right thing. Like a voice telling him to inappropriately do something insanely silly, everyone's eccentricities and quirks make sense when they're doing the right thing. He could spend time with people, drink and cheer, but also a long time alone as an ambivert. Ambiverts get energy from people but are too sensitive to keep it for long. He was an intellectually overexcitable, typical in intellect, imagination and psychomotor. Incredibly, excellent active mind, extreme desire to synthesize truth, morals, to analyze and categorize and think about thinking. He could be a lone wolf but not as bad as the introverted thinkers. The ENTP is the extrovert with the biggest introverted side. Their minds is a fine place to be alone with, not just the existing world. First twist. James had a body he had carefully built with steroids over the last 10 years with a brilliant eccentric theory to training, research like a scientist in muscular lab coats and best of the best knowledge of nutrition that few really knew about. Just look at these natural athletic performance enhancers. Sometimes pivoting in books he felt lucky to read. What a stupid thing to do. When you take steroids you lose your mind, not just your dingleberries. Jesus, liver thinks you're an alcoholic. He had figured out a way back with foods that increase learning speed and problem solving, but if there was only a way, like with magic, things could be solved. Thankfully this is a fantasy book. For now he was a muscle monster. He knew every number that could be given to a muscle, every thought to theoretical, and time for every exercise and intensity. The strongest nerd. Right now he was thinking, how much does variety help versus the best exercise for every muscle group? Cocoa powder gave as much grip strength as creatine. Athletic performance enhancers were sometimes cheap too, and he used for anti-cancer properties, etc. He used 6, like nutritional yeast, spirulina algae, black peppermint oil, fenugreek tea seeds, maca roots, ashwagandha, rosenroot and a nitrate diet, giving him a whopping 50 to 60% increased athletic performance, exactly endurance, speed and strength. The legs went by themselves, repetition was a thing in theory, and he had a huge advantage over other steroid users. He liked the atmosphere, aluminum can sound and the smell of the plastic mats at the gym. Gym luxury affected him a lot, like there's the reward he's looking for his efforts. Thusly pinnacle beast musculum felt like he could just add more and more weight on some muscle groups. It really was an unbreakable endeavor. Like a hero, he was supposed to have this perspective and position. He was a gym monologuer, ever chiseling at the perfect gym session and advice. Philosophize, did he feel right in the muscle contracting or was it a fake distraction? Which contraction is a distraction? His small perfect packages of advice, like a tweet max 280 letters, in the gym, the ENTP being the best to synthesize their thoughts into coherent, well-worded exactly what they meant. Twist 2. He fought in old-fashioned medieval games, knight style. They really exist as long as you can afford the armor and don't hit below the steel belt. He got excited for the Knight World Championships as much as anything. His first weapon of choice was polearm because it could be used as a spear, slice on the front or hammer at the back.
I don't think Stalker should start to solve my problems with me kicking them out of videos, and then there's too many videos. And people... Holy shit.
His first weapon of choice was polearm because it could be used as a spear, slice on the front or hammer at the back. Secondly, a giant Japanese two-handed katana, nodashi, he wore in one hand. The dual wield was unrelenting and truly menacing. He could swap the wield for defense with mace, an elongated thick glaive kite shield, meaning it was sharp as a sword in the end. Often you can smack, stun and stab with your shield in combat. There is more to this simple defensive position. Maybe the enemy is so within the reach of the shield length, yet trying to go through. Full black plate armor, gilded gold some places, or arms and legs free. Both had their advantages. Better with a kite shield than armor if I could just choose one, thought James strategically, masterfully and a bit playful competitive. Block and slash where my arms go. A crowd favorite was his armored boxing. Everyone loved knights boxing furiously. Some of these guys stun like a warhammer with their fists. With weapons like the polearm, James also put 4 1-decimeter glaives into his right gauntlet. A polearm is only dangerous at the pointy end. Closer attacks were stabbed with his gauntlet George steroid unicorn pants. Everything changed like a chapter, but not yet, where one evening after hot medieval games he heard someone sniggering in his computer corner. There was nothing there. It seems he was being sent incredibly suggestive Gachimuchi songs. There goes another one. Something was just too ridiculous to keep a straight face. Specifically trying to communicate, what is this you're listening to, human? Revealed and silly over time, James stretched out his hand into his apartment nothingness and felt temperature difference, cold, something wet, suction and stretching of his mind. Things really meet one now. Stop sending out shuttles looking for life, we're right here, I admit it. James thought, can you think what I think, and then said it. And feel what you feel, Jim Human. He looked like a mix of